Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel. Our channel is Faith International, where we are
Faith, motivation, and
inspiration.
inspiration.
My name is Nicola Kelly, and this is my handsome husband.
I'm Patrick Kelly, and we're delighted to have this opportunity to share with you. We're in the midst of a teaching series coming from 2 Kings chapter 7. 4 lepers who turn out to be unlikely heroes, and through their behavior, their actions, they save a nation. And we've learned various lessons as we've looked at this interesting story in the scriptures. We've learned the lesson of potential.
Yes.
Their identity would seem to have been a disadvantage, but they were able to go against their identity and discover that they were individuals of potential. And we've learned the lesson of potential. All of us have it. And then we looked at the lesson of positioning, because they were seated at the gate, which was a unique position as beggars, those dependent upon society. And we learned that in life, sometimes we don't think we're in the place we need to be, and oftentimes we're not where we want to be, but there's something unique about the position where we are. And if we take a look, we may discover that our position is suited to be a springboard to where we want to go.
Amen.
And then the third lesson, last time we were in this series, we were talking about the lesson of planning, where they decided they couldn't stay there and die because famine was in the city, there was no commerce coming in or out. They needed to make a decision. And after examining all of their options, they engaged a plan to head towards the enemy to see if they could save their lives. So this fourth lesson today now is on performance, because after you have planned and after you've strategized, you really need to take action. That's that missing link. And so let's go into the lesson, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
For the lesson of performance. Look at verse 5. And they rose up in the twilight. That's it. They took action, if you will. They got up. They changed their posture. They acted out their deliberation. After planning and after discussing and coming up with possibility, it was going to be of no use unless they were willing to get up and do something. So they rose up. It seems a simple statement, but it speaks volumes in terms of their initiative, their determination, their tenacity to push for change in their situation. They acted really in faith, or they were willing to take a risk. And isn't that what faith is? You have no guarantees. You don't know for certain what the outcome is going to be. You have hopes, you have expectations, you have desires, and this looks like the possible way to fulfill those hopes and desires and dreams and expectations. And so you step out, you launch out, but it's a launch of faith, or somebody else would say you're taking a risk. But you got to do something. Am I right about it? You got to do something. You can't just sit there and continue to ask the questions. You can't just sit there and continue to deliberate and to go around and talk about the possibilities. And isn't that what we do sometimes? We get excited about the possibilities. We just dream and we get excited about the dream, but then we never act upon the dream. We fail to take the first step. We fail to take a move in the direction of the fulfillment of our dreams. We fail, if the truth be told, to trust in God. Because faith trusts in God. Faith says, I don't see the outcome, but I believe this is a venture that God is with, so I'm going to step out in faith. Come here, Abraham, come testify. What did God tell you to do? Leave my family, my kindred, the home, the country I'd known, and just follow him, and he'd lead me to a land. Did he tell you where you were going? No. It was a one step at a time journey. Did you do it, Abraham? Yes, I did. And did God lead you to the land? Yes, he did. What if Abraham had said, Lord, I need more detail. I need a little bit more information. I need to know how this is all going to turn out before I make a step. He would never have got what God had ordained for him had he not been willing to just trust God and step out in faith. Look at somebody and tell them you got to trust God. You're sitting worrying about all the potential problems and the difficulties and the possible failure and who it didn't work for last time and who messed up. And no, sometimes you've got to ignore all of that and just get up and make a move. Ecclesiastes 11:4 is instructive here. The wise man says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. You're not going to get any crops if you're going to be worried about whether the wind is blowing or the rain clouds in the sky. You just got to sow your seed and you got to reap your harvest. You got to do something. Look at your neighbor and tell him, you got to do something. You got to do something. Well, I'm thinking about it. Well, thinking is good, but at some point your thoughts have to turn into action, because the only thing that's going to get you what you want, what you desire, is action. Somebody said thinking will not overcome fear. Only action will. And isn't that the truth? You can't talk yourself out of fear. You just got to walk towards what you're afraid of. You just got to step out in faith despite your fears, and you'll discover that the minute you move, fear disappears. The minute you make a step forward, your fears will go away. Eleanor Roosevelt said it this way: you must do the thing you think you cannot do. She was encouraging her husband, who struggled with polio and was fearful that if word got out, the public, he was president at the time, the public would not look upon him with favor. But she said, just do it anyway. Get out there. You can overcome this. And he went on to be one of the most revered and respected presidents that the country has known, FDR. So we learn from these lepers that after you've planned, there's got to be some performance.
Wow, Bishop, what an awesome teaching from this series. And now we're at performance. Pastor, why is performance so important to our lives?
And we should be accustomed to it, because even in our places of employment, sometimes we undergo performance review, which is intended to review how well we are functioning, whether we're accomplishing our objectives, whether we are operating at a high level. Because while planning is important and while strategizing is important, it's really the difference between planning and fulfillment, that thing called action. We've got to do something.
Yes.
And then we've got to measure, are we doing the right things? Are we doing what we said we were going to do?
Correct.
And then how well is what we're doing accomplishing our objectives? And so we learned that from these lepers, that after looking at the dire situation that they were in and strategizing what their best option was, which was to leave the gate where they were situated,
correct,
and go to the enemy, who obviously had provisions,
correct,
but they had to get up.
Yes, they did.
They had to change their position.
Yes, they did.
They had to change their posture.
Yes, they did.
They had to get moving.
Yes.
To realize that objective. And that's what the importance of performance is, and the significance of action. We can plan things, we can dream.
Yes.
Lord, we love to dream. We daydream sometimes.
Oh, yes,
but
Pastor. I'm dreaming now.
But the only way to make our dreams a reality is to do something,
correct,
to take action,
yes,
to perform.
yes.
And then we have to be smart enough to measure our performance.
Correct.
So at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of an initiative, we begin to take steps. It's good to look back and to measure.
Yes.
How well are we doing?
Yes.
So you determine to lose weight. How much weight have you lost so far? You
Yes.
determine to exercise. How well are you doing? Are you keeping up with the exercise?
Correct.
A lot of things that we plan to do and even take a step to do, if
Correct.
we don't examine and if we don't assess our
Correct.
performance, we may fall by the wayside
Correct.
and never fully accomplish. So
Correct.
I urge you, we urge you,
Yes.
take a look at what you're doing. Hopefully you're doing something. If you're doing nothing, that dream you've had, dust it off. Come on, get up and do something. Perform.
Yes.
Act.
Yes.
Take a step of faith.
Yes.
Trust God.
Yes.
And take a step of faith, and then examine your actions.
Yes.
Do a performance review on yourself and see how close you are
Correct.
to fulfilling your dreams, to accomplishing your objectives. That's the lesson of performance that we learn from these lepers. I hope it's a lesson that you will not only learn but implement in your life. Thank you so much for listening today. Listen, like this video. We hope that you will share it.
Correct.
And we've got future stuff coming up, don't we? We've
Yes,
got a
we
few
do.
more lessons in this series, and
Yes.
we've got plans to grow this channel. So
Yes.
we want them to subscribe, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can know when we release another video. But until next time, this is Patrick Kelly.
And this is Nicola Kelly.
Faith International, your channel for faith, motivation, and
Inspiration.
inspiration.
And
We'll
don't
see you.
forget to click that notification button. God bless you.
See you
We
next
love
time.
you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.